Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike, and I'm excited to share another Divi tutorial with you. My goal here is to make learning Divi as straightforward as possible. Today we're going to see how to build a seamless hover grid in Divi. So what is a seamless hover grid, I hear you ask? Well, it's having a grid across the screen like this, where you have the 4 columns, but when you hover over it, it changes. You can see the title over here, the heading gets a black background, and the background itself changes to an image instead of just the white space. And if you go across any of them, you'll see it does each and every one. When you hover over, it then returns back to the white. All right, so if that's something that is of interest to you, just hit that like button below and let's get started. Okay, so I started this, I've created a new page over here, and all I'm going to do is straight away off the bat, I just want to jump into the settings of the section. And then I just want to make a white background. All right, once that's done, I want to then go and add in another row, a first row, and I want to select the 4 columns because we had 4 columns in the example that we showed earlier. So in this, I want to also make some changes to the row. So I select on the row and I go design, we go to some sizing, custom width, shoot it down to 1, and we want 100% width and 100% maximum width. All right, so once that shoots across like that, we can then go and do a bit of spacing. So in spacing, what we want to do is we want to remove this top and bottom spacing. By doing so, we hit the padding, top and bottom 0, and there we go, all working as we want it. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to give it a border, so maybe a top and a bottom border. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the border styles here, but this one is each one that you click on, it would then depend on that particular border. So if I select this one and I do any styling on that, it's going to give me a border right around the entire perimeter of the row. That's not what we want. What we want is only a top and a bottom. So then let's have a look. Here we have top. If I select that, it then tells me top border width. So that's what I want. Okay, so I hit 1, and for color, I want to give it a D3, D3, D3. Right, there we go. We got the top border going. Right, but we don't only want the top border. Excuse me. We also want a bottom border. So then that would be this one. You can see they're highlighted by the solid line at the bottom, while you have the rest are dotted. So select that. You look over here, it says bottom border width. Right, so I'm going to push down to a 1 as well. And the color, we want to do the same color because we want it to look universal. All right, so top and bottom, we have the same colors there. So now we can move on to styling each column individually. So if I go back into the settings of the row, we have columns 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's jump into column number 1. And what we want to do is we want to give it a background. But this background must only apply when people hover over it. So if we go over this icon over here, that looks like a mouse icon, pointer. If I click on that, then you see it gives me the 2 options, the desktop and hover. So we want to go on, jump on hover, and we want to give that a background gradient. So the background gradient, we want to give the first color, we want to make it 255, 255, 255, an RGBA one. So the simple way of doing that, hit the white and just pull it all the way down. That's what we're looking for, that code over there. All right, and then for the second one at the bottom, we want to make sure it's black. Okay, so I'm going to pull this in a little bit because I want the bottom to be black. Fairly black, should I say. And then this one I want to pull up a little bit to about 30%. Okay. Then gradient type I want to leave as linear. And yeah, everything else is okay. Once that is done, we want to make sure we also place this gradient above the background image. Okay, because what that's going to do is that once we put in that background image that it's going to display when you hover over it, we want this black color to show above that so that the bottom part can be clearer when we want to read the text. Okay, So now let's go put that image in. So if we scroll back up, we put in a gradient. So now the next one I want to put is an image. So if I select over here and I put in the image and upload image, I just want to make sure that it's a cover is a set and background position is center. Okay. Next we want to do is we also want to make sure that we can put in a CSS class, because to achieve a lot of the effect that we need for this particular one, we are going to need to add in some code. So to do so, you can head over to my blog, which is dividuck.com. I'll put the link in the description below. That on here, if you scroll down, you'll see I've given you all the code that you need. So for the first class that we need is we need the column one. You just come and you just copy and paste this to advanced CSS into CSS class. All right. You can also just type this out. It's entirely up to you. I just find it's easier just to copy and paste. Okay, so once that is done, let's go and add in a text module in the first column. All right, so the first text module we add in, let's go and put in anything you want basically, but I'm just going to type in work space. All right, these you want to make sure is a H3. Both are H3s. There we go. And we want to go and do a bit of change of the styling. All right, I want to make this a Montserrat. I also want to make it that it's ultra thin or ultra light. I want to make it both uppercase. And then I want the color to be 0A, 0A, 0A. Okay, so it's not quite black, but it should look quite nice. Right, then for heading text size, I want to do a responsive sizing. So I just click on over here, and then I can go and put in 3 VW, so view width, for desktop. For tablet, I want to make it 7 VW, and for phone, I want to make it 14. 14. Okay, there we go. Right, the other thing I want to do is I also want to bring the lettering a bit closer to each other so that it might get a bit more of a stylish look. So I'm going to give that a -2. All right, that looks decent. Okay. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to give this a bit of sizing. So we come to sizing. Width, again, we want to hit the responsiveness. So for desktop, I'm going to say 55%. For tablet, I'm going to say 48%. And for phone, I'm going to say 50%. All right, we'll play with this as we go along and see and make sure everything works well. But I think that's a good place to start from. All right, let's give it a bit of spacing as well, I think. So we want to push down here so that there's a good space between the top text and the paragraph text. So we go here to margin and we can put in a 25 VH, so the vertical viewer height. Okay, that looks decent. And let's put some padding. So padding, top and bottom, let's give it 5%. And then left and right, let's give this 7%. So it jumps off the edge there, it's not hanging onto it. And let's see what we do over here. Oh, okay, let's go back there. See what's happening. Okay, I think that should work. Right, maybe we want to put a border around. I think that's what we had in the example. So let's go and jump into the border. So same thing. over here we probably want to give it a right border and a bottom border. So right, we want to do this side, and exactly the same, we want to go 1 and then D3, D3, D3. All right, that's looking decent. And then the same thing for bottom. Again, we want to go 1 and D3, D3, D3. Okay. So that's that. Now, the next thing we probably want to do is we also want to add in a custom, no, not a custom CSS, but a CSS ID class. If we head back to the blog, you can grab the title and head back and just paste it in. And that'll be it for that one. All right, let's add in the next text module. So the next one will probably be the paragraph text. Okay, so we want to just grab this, delete that. Okay, so it's just not so much text. And then let's go and style this. So for me, I want to make this cum sans. I want to make the color, or don't want to make it white yet because I just want to see the sizing. Okay, again, we want to do it on the responsiveness. All right, so for desktop, we want to make it 0.8. 0.8, but not pixel. We want to make it view width. Okay. Then on tablet, let's make this 2. And on phone, let's make this 3.6. And I can see that one is already not working. So we need to change that. Okay, then this text line height, because we're still applying this one, I want to make 2.2. So I just want to make sure that carried across into here. Yes, it did. Okay, then what we want to do is we just want to make sure that we make this text color white. All right, so the reason we do that is because we don't want it to show until we hover. All right, but that's something that has come up. So let's just change the spacing here first before we could do the other stuff. So bottom, we want to make sure that there's a bit of padding between the paragraph text that we had at the bottom and the complete bottom of the column. And then left and right, we just want to hit it 9%. So that's going to give us the spacing over here on the side. Okay, so I just want to jump back, save that. Just want to jump back into responsiveness and have a look at this. Design, sizing, 48%. I think at 48% we can push up to 60%. Yeah. Okay, and then for phone, let's push that up as well. Also it's 60%. Okay, let's go back desktop. Let's go back to our text at the bottom. And we also just want to add in a class over here. So if we go back to the blog, the text class, let's just grab the text class over here and go and put it in over there. Okay, once that's done, let's go add in a button. So again, on the column 1, let's just below the paragraph text, let's just add in a button. And over here, we just say learn more. And let's go and customize these styles. Right, so the first thing we want to do is change the button size. So on desktop, we want it to be 1 VW. All right. And then on tablet, we want to make this 2.5. And on phone, we want to make it a big 4. Okay. The other thing we want to do is just go back to desktop. I want to get rid of the border around the button. So if you scroll down, button border width, Let's just take that out. And then also just take out the radius while we add it. Okay, let's have a look and change some fonts. Let's make this the same as the paragraph text. We want to make sure we show the button icon, and then let's choose an icon. I'm just going to take this arrow over here, and then I want to put it to the left of the text. And I don't only want to show this on hover, I want it to show all the time. Okay. Then I want to make it the same color as the other color. So I'm going to go 0A, 0A, 0A. Oh, that's only the icon color. Let's go back to the text color. Text, 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 text. There we go. So 0A, 0A, 0A. Okay. Once that's done, we want to give it a bit of spacing. So the reason I want to give it spacing is because if I hover over it now, you see the gray box over there. It pretty much hugs the box, the lettering, quite near over here. So what I want to do is I want to get that line at the bottom. If we go back to our example, you can see it's got that line over there. All right, so we want to get that. And in order to do that, we need to give it a bit more spacing. So, bottom margin, let's make that 8%. Okay, so we just want to push it up and push the thing down a little bit, the column. Then left margin, we also want to jump off the edge. Sounds bad when I put it that way, but we'll just get a bit of spacing between the edge and here, so that it can look a little bit more. 7%. I think we made it 9%, right? So let's just push that up, and then left and right. Okay, so now that should be the same over there. We've got the same, but the padding is still, we need to add padding because the gray box is still hugging. Right, so what we're going to do there is let's give it a bottom of 5%. All right, so let's have a look. How's that look now? Okay, we've got a bit more spacing over there now. And then we want to shoot it right across. So let's give it a right padding of 20%. Now that looks much better. Okay, so now when we add in that box shadow, we're going to be able to clearly see how it'll take this whole line at the bottom here. So let's go add that in. You can see the effect. So if I click on there now you can see that takes that whole long list there. All right, so it's up to you how you want to do this. So you can leave it as it is over there. But for me, I'll put the horizontal to 0, right? And then the vertical one, I'll shoot that down to about 2 there. So we've got that line happening over there. But then we need it to be the same kind of coloring. So I'm going to make that 0A, 0A, 0A. All right, so we just have some kind of uniformity going there. Now we also want to make sure that we can style this when we add the code later. So let's add in another class. So if we head over back to the blog, you get the button class. You just copy that and paste it in. And that should be everything that we need to do for the button. So everything should be sort of done here. Yeah. All right. So let's just go back to the row. And here we have the different columns, but we only really worked on column 1. So what we can do is columns 2, 3, and 4, let's just delete them. They're of no use to us. So instead we delete them, and then what we do is we duplicate column 1. 1, 2, 3. 3 times. Right? Once you've duplicated them, you see they span across like that. But then what we can do is we need to go and change the background images on each one of these hover states so that it doesn't show the same thing for everybody. Okay, so just change that one to there. Save that. Go to column 3. Make sure I'm in hover. Change that to this guy. Save that. And then column 4. Make sure I'm in hover. Scroll all the way down and change it to this one. Upload an image and save that. Okay, when you're adding in these, just make sure that the background image is set to cover and center, just to make sure that it takes up the whole space. Okay, now if you want to change the titles, you can also change the titles to whatever you want them to be so that there's no duplicate content. But I'm just going to leave that for now because what I really want to show you today is just the effect and how easy it is to do. Right, so what we probably also want to do is we want to finish up the borders, right? Because currently it looks like it's open borders, and then over here it's like the workspace wants to fall out. So let's just jump into column 1 and design border. We want to go for the right border, and we just want to do the same as we did for the others. D3, 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 and that'll add in the border for us nicely there. And then we want to do that same for each one. Wow, what did I do? There we go. Border right. I'll make that 1 pixel, and then D3, D3, D3. And the final one for column 3. Border right, 1, D3, D3, D3. And that should be it. Yeah. Okay. So what we now need to do is again head back. Well, let's save this. Once that's saved, we can exit. Jump back to the blog. And then what we want to do is we want to grab all of this code. So just copy that and head back to your WordPress installation. Oh, you can see I've already put it in here. Let's take that out so that we can do it. All right, save changes. Okay, so if you're not familiar, if you've just come into your WordPress installation, to get to that setting where I was now, just go Divi, Theme Options, scroll down to the bottom, go Custom CSS, and we just paste it in over here. Once that's pasted in, make sure to save it. Yeah, I'll save it again. And then we go back to our front end. We refresh this page. And now, crossing fingers, if we hover over any of these items, it should give us the desired effect that we were hoping for. So let's have a look. And there we go. Okay, we're not getting the Learn More button. Why is that? Button, box shadow, color white, important. Ah, okay. Design button. Because we gave it a color over here, it's picking that up and putting it down as important. So what we can do is button text color. We just go there, hover, and we make it white. Save that. Then nice thing about Divi is we can right click on that, copy module styles, and then we just go and paste it wherever we want it. Okay, let's save this and jump out. Refresh. Okay, I'm just going to go take out that and see. Because we're calling the text color in the CSS, we don't actually need it here. All right, so there it's working now. So the reason for that is because if we go into the theme options and we have a look at the code is actually telling us that's the color we want to make the button. So it's already calling it there. So by us putting in the options the way we were busy going and making the changes in the backend there, it was then putting that as an important tag like this, which was overriding these CSS that we have here. So I apologize for making that mistake for you, and if you want to change the colors, just rather come and change it over here. So there the white is over there, and that will all work as needed. So that's how you can easily create a Divi grid and with hover effects using the Divi theme. I hope this tutorial will be useful for you, and if it has, please hit that like button to let me know. I'm planning to post more Divi tutorials as I learn more about Divi, so please do subscribe to ensure that you don't lose out on any of the videos that come out. I am planning also to delve more into Divi 5 going forward, since Elegant Themes has said that you can start to use them on production sites. So if that's something that's of interest to you, just also let me know. Or if you want me to make more Divi 4 tutorials, also just let me know in the comment section below. I'm happy to do so. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.